Well, let's start. I'm a fan of the 10 ADA centers. I think that a lot of the progress that has been made in this country has come about because of the good advice and stewardship that's occurred across the country at the local level. I think people are wary of going to Washington, D.C. for their advice, sometimes wary of going to the Justice Department, and because it's the agency that enforces. And so having a group of professionals who understand the ADA, who understand the needs of business, understand what it's like to run a state or local government, and can marry those issues together and provide good, solid ADA advice is incredibly significant. While I worked at the federal government, we worked very hard to ensure that we were working together in concert, that the ADA TA centers had the most up-to-date information. I think it took a few years for us to develop a good working relationship, but I think it's a very smooth operation, and we each understand our roles, work very well together. And I think as you look around at the changes that we've had in this country over a very short period of time, a lot of it is due to the kind of good advice, concrete, if you want to use a pun, concrete advice that is given to make buildings accessible, programs accessible. I think it's essential for people in Washington to get out of Washington and talk to people. And to do it in something like the symposium is a good mix. Oftentimes when people from the Justice Department go out, they're investigating a case, and so you're already in a somewhat adversarial relationship. At a session like the ADA Symposium, which has representatives from all over the country, both people with disabilities, groups that serve them, incredible knowledge, it's very important for the federal officials not only to provide the information that they have, but to hear firsthand what the problems are and how the guidance they're giving is being perceived, and so it can be fine-tuned and get better. And I think every year it's gotten bigger and better. It's incredibly well managed, a very sophisticated program, a lot of very good information. I think this conference is unusual in that you have people from a lot of different walks of the ADA life. You have people who represent public accommodations, governments, people who sue them, people who provide advice to them, people with disabilities themselves. And I think the opportunity to sit down over a cup of coffee and have a conversation where you can break down the barriers that might be there in terms of sharing information, finding out what the problems are, who's doing what, finding out best practices or good practices that are, and sharing them with one another are the kind of opportunities that you don't get very often. Well, I retired 2 years ago, and I spent a lot of time thinking about what I had done right, what I had done wrong, and the changes. And I felt I'm an optimistic person to begin with. But if I look at the changes that have happened in the country, they're phenomenal, both in terms of the change in accessibility, in terms of physical accessibility, in terms of services, but also the decrease in attitudinal barriers. But we still have a long way to go. I mean, I can go into any new building and still find barriers. There are new issues that we're confronting. We still have a low employment rate for people with disabilities. We have to solve that. We have to figure out how we can get reasonable accommodation. I'm hoping that the Healthcare Act will bring about some changes because right now people with disabilities are not being hired in numbers that they should be. I'm optimistic about the changes in getting people out of institutions and into their local communities. And of course, the whole issue of changing technology. Technology has made life so much better for many people with disabilities, but we have to ensure as we develop new technology, like the e-readers that are there, that we ensure that blind people can use them. We ensure that our websites are accessible to people who are blind or people who are deaf, people with manual dexterity issues. I think that is the key to unlocking the future for people with disabilities.